The iPhone 17e leak just dropped, and it points to a cleaner, more premium look without a radical overhaul. According to a new report out of Korea, Apple is keeping the 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display for the iPhone 17e, but slimming down the bezels. That one change could make this E-series model look a lot closer to the standard iPhone 17, with a higher screen-to-body ratio and a more modern front. Expect that all-screen vibe to feel more refined, with less black border and more content. Here's what's shaping up. The panel itself is reportedly being supplied by Bo, Samsung Display, and LG Display, mirroring Apple's broader supply chain strategy. So don't expect a brand new screen type or jump to promotion on this model. There's no credible indication that the iPhone 17e will hit 120 Hz. What is changing is the border around the display. Thinner bezels matter more than they sound. They clean up the face of the phone, improve immersion for video and gaming, and give off that premium vibe without jacking up costs. Apple has been steadily pushing bezel tech forward on its Pro phones, and this looks like a welcome trickle down to the E-series. If Apple also tightens symmetry around the corners and chin, the 17e could look noticeably fresher even before you power it on beyond the outline. The display experience should stay familiar rich old contrast. Deep blacks and wide color with P3 support, paired with True Tone and HDR playback. Peak brightness figures haven't been tipped, but if Apple stays the course, we're likely to see levels similar to or slightly better than the 16e for outdoor visibility. Ceramic shield glass should continue up front, and Apple's anti-smudge coatings usually get quiet year-over-year tweaks that make a difference in day-to-day use. None of this is headline-grabbing on its own, but together it adds up to a screen that feels mature, bright, and dependable. On the spec side, rumors suggest Apple may align the iPhone 170 more closely with the mainline iPhone 17 than you might expect. A leading whisper is the A19 chip yes, the same family of silicon anticipated in the iPhone 17. If that pans out, the 17e could offer excellent efficiency and long-term iOS support, even if it skips some high-end frills. A newer chip typically means snappier app launches, smoother camera processing, and headroom for the latest on-device AI features Apple is rolling out in the next version of iOS. Battery capacity and charging speeds haven't leaked in a convincing way yet, but an efficiency bump from a newer chip usually translates into better real-world endurance and cooler thermals under load. Cameras are where Apple often differentiates, and the leaks here are intriguing. The iPhone 17e is tipped to keep the 48MP single-lens camera on the back. Similar to the iPhone 16e, that means you should expect solid detail and dependable color science, with computational photography doing the heavy lifting for night shots and portrait mode. Apple's image pipeline tends to improve year after year even on the same hardware, so you could see better low-light texture and more natural skin tones just from software tuning. Up front, though, there could be a notable shift, and 1.8MP selfie camera like the one rumored for the iPhone 17 and iPhone 17 Pro. If accurate, that would be a major upgrade for FaceTime, selfies, and creators who shoot vertical video on the front camera. Expect sharper selfies, cleaner 4K video, and improved background separation for portraits. Video-wise. Anticipate the usual Apple strengths: reliable stabilization, clean color, and features like cinematic mode and action mode that continue to trickle down and improve. Even with a single rear lens, Apple's crop-based 2x mode can look impressively close to optical thanks to that 48MP sensor handy for portraits without adding camera bumps or cost dot. What about the dynamic island? That's still up in the air. Some reports say Apple might hold it back from this E-series refresh, potentially saving it for a future iPhone 18e instead. If the feature doesn't arrive this year, the 17e would still deliver Apple's clean interface and reliable notch experience, just without the animated, adaptive UI element that appears on the mainline models. Apple likes to keep clear separation between tiers, and Dynamic Island has become part of that segmentation. So don't be surprised if the E series keeps it simple for one more cycle. To understand where the iPhone 170 fits, it helps to look back at the iPhone 16e. That device drew praise for its power, strong battery life, and clean design, but its value proposition raised eyebrows. In many regions, buyers could find discounted standard iPhone models or slightly older flagships that offer more features for a similar price. The 17e seems positioned to tackle some of those concerns with a more premium look and possibly a next-gen chip, while keeping the E series focused on essentials: a bright OLED, a strong single rear camera, and Apple's deep ecosystem support. If Apple tightens pricing or storage at the base tier, the 17e could land in a much sweeter spot for mainstream buyers. Design dash-wise, the thinner bezels are the headliner. Even with the same 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED panel, a tighter border can make the phone look years newer. Expect a front that appears cleaner and more symmetrical, and a device that reads as more flagship at a glance. If Apple pairs that with the subtle industrial design tweaks we typically see year-to-year refined finishes, updated colors, and tiny ergonomic improvements, the iPhone 170 could feel like a meaningful step up in hand. Even if the spec sheet looks familiar, Apple's haptics, speaker tuning, and micro details like button feel often get quiet upgrades too. The kind you only notice after a week of use. Performance could be the stealth win. If the A19 rumor holds, the iPhone 17e would deliver faster app launches, smoother multitasking, and better on-device AI features, all while sipping less power. That combination tends to extend the usable life of an iPhone, which matters if you plan to keep your device for 3 to 5 years. A stronger neural engine would also help with voice features, photo editing, and privacy-friendly on-device processing. Letting the phone feel fast without constantly pinging the cloud. Connectivity and everyday basics should remain a strength. Expect 5G with the usual global band support, solid call quality, and Apple's tight integration with carriers. USB-C is a given at this point, and wired charging speed should be in the familiar Apple range, with MagSafe remaining the easy snap-on standard for accessories and wireless charging. Key 2 support is increasingly common across the ecosystem, so compatibility with newer magnetic chargers is likely to be a plus. Wi-Fi and Bluetooth details aren't locked yet. Apple has been moving steadily through DWI-FI 6.6e on recent models, and whether the 17e jumps further will depend on the chosen chipset and antenna package. Security and durability won't be flashy bullet points, but they matter. Face ID is expected to remain the biometric of choice, and Apple's IP rating for dust and water resistance should match modern iPhone norms. Combine that with ceramic shield and the usual aluminum frame, and you're looking at a device that's built to last, especially with a decent case and screen protector. Apple's software support typically runs many years, which is a big part of the value story for an E-series phone.